Okay, before we start, and before I press play, the second thing is for both of us, it's the, hello, for both of us, it's the first time we've ever done a Peter Kucha. I don't know about you, Jess, I had to Google it to find out what it was, but we now know what a Peter Kucha is. So we've got 6 minutes, 40 seconds when I start pressing play. Now, again, Jess, I don't know about you, but I've got no concept of what 6 minutes, 40 seconds feels like. Not a clue, no idea. So I don't know about that, but one thing I do know about is early 80s pop music. Right? So that got me thinking about how that could help me out of this kind of this problem. And what I found is that there's one particular music which is exactly 6 minutes, 40 seconds long. So what I thought I'd do to help us kind of pass this time, as it were, is to accompany at least the first slide and the last slide of our presentation with a piece of music which is 6 minutes, 40 seconds long. So what we'll do is I've introduced us now. We're talking about audience response tools. So the first slide will be accompanied through this music will play whilst this slide's going, and I'll fade it out, do the kind of serious stuff. Jess will be even more serious and better than me, and then right at the end when I do the final slide, I'll fade the music back in again, and it works. That music, I think is appropriate, is the B-52s, people familiar? Yeah. And it's Rock Lobster. So I've introduced us. I'm Craig, this is Jess. So we're talking about two projects here. Firstly, an Education Innovation Fund project, which I took part in over the spring semester, and over the summer, Jess and I worked together on the QCEP project, both of which were ostensibly looking at audience response tools and different ways of thinking about using those. The elephant in the room, sometimes it's a good elephant or a bad elephant, this is a good elephant, I think, is the rollout of Mentimeter. I know not everyone's kind of on board with it. Some people are kind of loyal to other systems. I think it's brilliant, okay? I'm happy to talk to people individually about how I've used it. I've used it in wedding speeches. I've used it in Eurovision parties. I think it's great. The EIF research, the aim was can feedback literacy be used to, can it be enhanced through the use of audience response tools? And there's one example of how you can use these tools to reflect upon feedback literacy before and after an intervention. And the intervention is talking about Carla Sabaud's model of feedback literacy, starting that conversation about feedback literacy. In terms of research methods, I collected qualitative data. I interviewed a number of people in this room. Thank you for your help, and thanks for wearing the helmets, by the way. That was a big help. And we undertook some focus groups with students from across the School of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences. Didn't recruit from other schools, unfortunately. So we collected qualitative data. There's three lots of indicative findings. I want to focus on one little nugget here, and that was the students in the focus group, when I spoke to them about feedback literacy, they wanted to talk about academics' feedback literacy. How did we respond to their feedback? How did we act upon that? And they were very keen in making that connection between audience response tools and that sort of feedback. There's many people in this room, I'm guessing, who might, like me, might have remembered the format wars about VHS, Betamax and Ferguson 2000. I think the debate about whether we use Mentimeter or Poll Everywhere or whatever turning point is very much tied up with this way in which people construct and understand what these different audience response tools do and what they look like. Time and time again, what came out of the research that I conducted earlier on this year, the qualitative stuff, was if we're going to use audience response tools, they've got to be easy to use. And secondly, is the amount of time I'm going to expend on learning about this new tech, is that going to generate sufficient increase in student engagement for it to be worth my while? 4 things for further research. Which audience response, which art is the best? Who's best? Who defines what best is? Secondly, why is there such a wide variety in practice? Thirdly, is Cardiff different from other universities in terms of the way that we use audience response tools? And fourthly, what kind of success stories are there? Jessie's going to continue.
Thank you. So over the summer I did a QSIP project onto audience response tools, and we basically wanted to look into how people use them, which ones are the best, sort of things like that. So I've only ever used clickers in a lecture. I really like them because by the time they give them out to all the students and take it back in, there's half the lecture gone. So that's good. But I've used Mentimeter and ProLibrary in my placement year, and I really like using them. So first thing we did was to look into the market to see how many tools are out there. And we found more than 50 different types of tools. These all ranged in their price and their type of interactions that are available. So we sort of asked the question, well, how do people choose which one to use? So the original plan was to look into all the studies into individual tools and write a systematic review to sort of figure out which ones were the best. But when we looked into the literature, there was hardly anything. Most of the literature looked into whether they're actually effective in teaching or actually the tools themselves. So we decided to consult with learning technologists from the CESI, and we talked to them, and they said, can you look into the practice instead? So that's what we did. So we looked into how they're actually being used and whether they're actually making a difference. And we decided to not only focus on Cardiff Uni, but look into other universities across the UK as well. So we created 2 surveys, one for Cardiff University staff, one for the Association of Learning Technologists. And we had 28 responses from 21 universities in that survey, and then only 9 from Cardiff University, but we do understand it's very hard to get a hold of staff. So basically what we found was that in the Association of Learning Technologists, we asked them which tools they mostly use. Turning Point, Poll Everywhere and Mentimeter came out on top. And then when we asked both groups which criteria made them were the most criteria that they used to sort of choose audience response tools, ease of use, like increased research, came out on top. And then these 3 results that I'm going to show you are combined from both of the surveys. So when we asked, has the tool made a difference to the engagement of students, you can see really, really positive results. Mostly agree. And we also have lots of qualitative data to back this up. When we asked the learning technologists, can you give us examples of innovative ways of using this technology? They were giving us lots of paragraphs full of really good information. Then when we asked, the tool enhances the learning experience within your institution, again, really positive results. And the qualitative data really back this up. They give us some really good ways that they were using the technology. And then finally, when we asked, where do they most frequently use these tools? Most people use them in really large lectures with over 100 students, which makes sense because I know when I'm in a massive lecture, I'm too scared to put my hand up. It's way easier if it's anonymous and it's on your phone, which I thought was really nice. So, yeah, and then followed by small lectures and seminars, and then interchangeably as well then. So we asked the Cardiff University staff who had not used audience response tools what criteria would make them want to use it, and ease of use, if there's a free version available, if there's a good variety of questions available to ask the students, and if they demonstrate an increase in student engagement, then that would make them want to use the tool. And then barriers for both groups were to not use the results was for the cost and the training.
Thank you. So 4 things to conclude. Focus group data and the online data suggests that audience response tools increase student engagement. There's a wide variety of potential uses, not limited just to large lectures, not a panacea, should be used alongside other things. The perceived ease of use is the biggest barrier to academic staff use. And it's finished already, there you go. That worked much better in my office. But there, isn't that always the way? Thank you.